Alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Inshallah, we're going to go ahead and get started. And today we're going to continue to discuss some of the major sins in Islam, beginning with hypocrisy. We're going to also speak today about hiding knowledge and the sin in that. Also denying faith and reminding others of the charity that you've given them. And let's start with hypocrisy. First of all, what does it mean to be a hypocrisy? Hypocrisy refers to saying one thing and doing something else, or saying that you believe one thing, but in reality, you believe in something else. Allah speaks about hypocrisy in many verses of the Quran. For example, Allah says, they stand without earnestness just to be seen of men, but little do they hold Allah in remembrance. These are people who pretend. A hypocrite is a person who pretends. He pretends to be a good Muslim. He pretends to be a person who believes in Allah, so he goes to the mosque and dressed the part and prays beautifully, but he's really just doing it to show off. He really doesn't care about Allah. Also, Allah says in the interpretation of meaning, like those who spend their money just to be seen of men. Okay, you want the people to think that you are a good, caring person. You want the people to believe that you care so much about them. But in reality, you don't care anything about the people. You're just giving money just so the people can think that you are charitable. This is hypocrisy. And hypocrisy is a big problem with Muslims today. There's so many of us, who fall victim to the hypocrites. People who you think are scholars, and in reality, they're not. People who you think are righteous and good, and in reality, they're allies of Shaitan. And this is why the Prophet said, one of the first groups of people who will be judged on the day of judgment are men and women who call themselves martyrs. Allah will bring them forward, and he will reveal his blessings to that person. And then Allah will say, what did you do? And the person will say, oh Allah, I fought for your sake until I was killed. Allah will say, you are a liar. You fought just so it could be said that you were brave. You fought just for the people to call you a martyr. Allah will then have that person dragged by his face and thrown into the hellfire. That's a hypocrite. You want people to think that you are a martyr, that you love Allah so much that you're willing to die for him. There's a lot of Muslims today that tell you, I'll die for Allah. But how many of them are true to that? How many of them are just doing it for the money because their families were promised $10,000? Or how many of them are doing it not because they believe in Allah and want to please him, but they just want to go down in history as being a person who was brave? Well, these people, remember, you can fool the people, but you can't fool Allah. Allah can see through all of that. Allah will have such people thrown into the hellfire. Also, another group of people who will be thrown in hell are people who call themselves scholars. People who had knowledge of the Quran. We have a lot of people today that memorize the Quran and how to recite it by heart. They memorize not the meaning, but they memorize how to recite. Well, guess what? These people will be brought forth on the day of judgment before Allah. And Allah will ask them, what did you do with the knowledge that I gave you? What did you do with the knowledge of the Quran? The person will say, oh Allah, I sacrificed myself and learned the Quran just to teach it to other people so I could win your praise, just to please you, to win your honor. Allah will look at that person and say, you are a liar. You learned the Quran just so the people could call you a scholar. You want to sit up on Facebook, sit up on social media and answer questions about Islam and pretend to be a scholar. You didn't do it for my sake. You did it to please the people. And then Allah will have this person dragged by their face and thrown into the hellfire. Again, this is why we have to check ourselves. Am I really doing what I do for the sake of Allah, or because I want the people to honor me? I want the people to invite me to conferences. I want to be on Facebook. I want to be known called Sheikh or Sheikha. I want to go travel the world and people have me come speak at their conferences. Am I doing it for Allah or just for the people? Most people are doing it for the people and not Allah. And then Allah tells us about the third group of people that will be thrown in the hell face. These are people who used to give in charity. They gave hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars in charity. They will be brought forward and they will say, oh Allah, I did this for you. I donated all my money for your sake. And again, Allah will be able to see through the person. He will say, you are a liar. You did it just so the people could think that you were a righteous, generous person. And just like the other two groups of people, this person will be dragged by his or her face and thrown into the hellfire. So again, that's hypocrisy. What is hypocrisy? Hypocrisy is to pretend to be something that you really are not. To do things for the wrong reasons. You claim that you're doing it to please Allah, but in reality, you're doing it for something other than Allah. Allah hates the hypocrites. The hypocrites are abhorred by Allah. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation of the meaning, he who does things for the sake of the people and says things for their sake and not for the sake of Allah, Allah will reveal him or her to be a hypocrite to the public on the day of judgment. There's going to be a lot of famous people, guys. A lot of famous Muslim speakers who y'all thought were scholars, who will be revealed for what they truly are on the day of judgment. When Allah unmasks these men, when Allah unmasks these women, you will be shocked. You will think, oh, he was a righteous sheikh. He was on Facebook. He was on this Islamic TV and all this, you know. Oh, really? He did everything for you, so you could call him what you're calling him. He didn't do it to please Allah. And also, guys, the Prophet ﷺ said even a little hypocrisy can become a form of shirk, a form of associating partners. There's so many actions that we do, guys, that can put us in the category of disbelief or association. Just like drinking alcohol, becoming a drug addict, an alcoholic, a fornicator who refuses to stop. Your love for food is so great, even though you know the doctor told you if you don't stop, you're going to die. You love food more than that. You know, just like these things can put us in the category of shirk or disbelief. The same with this, guys. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. A little hypocrisy can become a form of disbelief. So we have to free ourselves of that sin. And that brings us to the next sin for today, the sin of treachery. What does it mean to be treacherous? You go into an agreement with someone, a treaty with someone, or you make a promise to someone and you break it. How many of you watch Survivor? I'm going to tell you guys, that's one of my favorite shows on TV. And why is it that Survivor has been on television for longer than any other show? Because it shows the true nature of the human being. The true nature, how we will undercut each other. We will lie. We will cheat. We will become treacherous. And you look at Survivor right all the way down to the end. They turn on each other like vultures. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. Betray not the trust of Allah and his prophet, nor misappropriate knowingly things that are entrusted to you. So many of us as human beings, we misappropriate things that we know we shouldn't. And we betray the trust of Allah every day. And we betray the trust of the Prophet every day. But we call ourselves and think ourselves to be such great Muslims. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever lacks honesty is a person that lacks faith. And there is no religion for the oaths of traitors. So again, guys, we have to try to avoid this treachery. Remember, it's the human nature to be criminal. We're criminal by nature. We're attracted to what's bad and dirty. It's hard for us to formulate an honest, trustful being. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there are 3 signs of a hypocrite. If the person lies, that's a sign. If the person makes promises and then breaks them, that's a sign. And if a person betrays an agreement, that's a sign. If a person does all of those things, then he is a pure hypocrite. We have to be careful, guys, to keep our promises. We have to be careful to not tell lies. We have to also be careful to honor any type of agreements that we enter into with other people. And that brings us to the next sin. And this is a big one today too. Seeking knowledge just to hide it from others. There's a lot of people on the internet taking these online Muslim Islamic schools, getting these degrees, so-called online degree in Islam. First of all, can't nobody give you a degree in Islam. I mean, they can give it to you a piece of paper saying that you will have a degree. But scholars, this is a term that you earn from your peers based on your knowledge and practice of the religion. You don't have to go to somebody's school to get the term of scholar. But there's a lot of people that think you do, that you can't even be a scholar unless you have some type of online degree or college degree saying it, okay? And a lot of these people that do seek these degrees, they seek it for the wrong reasons, not to please the people. I mean, not to please Allah, but to please the people, and also to argue and debate with others. You want to be more knowledgeable than others so you can conceal things, okay? Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation, the meaning, those who truly fear Allah amongst his servants who have knowledge, those who conceal the clear signs that we have sent down and the guidance after we have made it known to them, shall have Allah's curse. There's a lot of people that get these little online degrees, just so they can argue with other people, and they hide the truth from people when they come seeking it. We're not supposed to do that. It's all about teaching, sharing Allah's religion with others, not sitting there hiding the truth just so you can appear to be more superior than others. And that brings us to the next sin. And this is a big one too that happens a lot today. Reminding people of the good things you've done for them. This is something that we all hate. How many of you like it? You go and borrow some money from your friend. And then when your friend gets angry at you, she throws it up in your face. Oh, remember that time you needed $20 and I gave it to you? Remember that time I paid your rent? Remember that time I bought your kids some food? Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning. O you who believe, do not cancel your charity by reminders of the generous things you've done. Allah hates a person that does that. Also, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there are 3 people whom Allah will not look at or speak to on the day of judgment, and they will be punished severely. And one of them is a person that goes around reminding others of the good things he's done for them. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody likes their face rubbed in mud, guys. So we have to stop this. If you do a good deed, it's done. Don't blow your blessings by throwing it up in that person's face when you're angry at them. Or even 10 years later. Remember 10 years ago when you were strung out and I did this for you? Don't do that. You just blew your blessings. And you not only blew your blessings, but you earned the anger of Allah for doing so. And that brings us to the next sin. That is the sin of not believing in the decree of Allah. Allah tells us in the Quran, in the interpretation, the meaning, verily all things we have created in proportion and measure, but Allah has created you and your good work. To such as Allah rejects from its guidance, there can be no guide, and Allah has knowingly left him astray. But you will not accept as Allah wills. Okay, in other words, everything that happens in this world, guys, be it good or bad, it happens because Allah decreed for it to happen. The war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, what's going on in Palestine, what's going on here in America, everything that is happening in this world was decreed to happen by Allah. It's all meant to be a test for us. It's all meant to be Allah's way of revealing who the true believers are over the hypocrites. We don't believe in luck as Muslims. We believe in the qadr, or the decree of Allah. Anyone who rejects that everything good and bad that happens to us comes from Allah is an unbeliever. Just like to die an alcoholic, addicted to alcohol, knowing it's wrong, but you said you don't care, you're going to still drink because you want to drink, you like drinking, you don't care what Allah say, just like that person's an unbeliever. Well, guess what? The person who disbelieves that everything happens from the decree of Allah is an unbeliever too. We have the hadith whereas the angel Jibreel took on the disguise of a handsome man and came to visit the Prophet when he was sitting with his companions, and he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to tell him what faith was. And the Prophet said to believe in Allah, to believe in his angels, his books, and all the prophets, and to believe in the day of judgment, and to believe in fate, good and bad. That is what makes one a believer. So to deny any of those things makes you an unbeliever. So stop saying that you believe in luck. No, we don't believe in luck. We believe that everything happens because Allah decreed for it to happen. There's a hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there are 6 people whom I damn and who Allah damns too. The first is a person who does not believe in the decree of Allah. So guys, again, don't sit around telling people you don't believe that everything that happens to you comes from Allah. Allah tells us in the Quran, whatever good befalls you is from Allah. And whatever evil befalls you comes from Allah too, as a result of what you brought on yourself. So even the bad things that happen to you, they happen because Allah decreed it. If Allah decreed it, did not decree it, it wouldn't happen. That's why we don't sit around worrying about people giving us the evil eye. If Allah decrees for you to get the evil eye, you'll get it. If not, it won't happen. Does everybody understand that? So thus, guys, these are some more sins that we need to be made aware of. And tomorrow we're going to continue by speaking about some more. So make sure you guys study these hadiths that I just explained to you. I'm going to quiz you on them tomorrow. And if you guys have any questions or comments, inshallah, type them on the screen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.